Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Josh.
And I'm Erin.
And we just did a totally blind head-to-head between Bulleit Bourbon and Elijah Craig Small Batch Bourbon. If you've got 25 or 30 bucks in your pocket, which one do we think is the better choice to spend it on?
Welcome to the channel, bringing a real-world perspective to the real-world whiskey consumer.
We're not professional whiskey tasters, we're just regular people. We're going to randomly select one of these pairs from our blind sample pool of interesting matchups that we've put together, and you're going to get our honest opinion on it. If it's an allocated product, does it stand out as being anything special? If it's an available product, is it worth the money? That's what we're here to find out.
We won't know what we're drinking, but you will, and you can find all the information for what we're drinking in the description box below.
We'll go through this blind tasting and we will end up at what we call a real world score, which is the taste, the price and the availability, and whether we'd buy it again or not, because quite frankly, those are the things that are important to us in a bottle of whiskey. So we're going to randomly select one of these pairs and find out which one we're drinking. So we got 18 from our blind sample pool and
16.
Number 16. So this is number 18. So 17, 16. These two right here. We'll get them poured. We'll get the rest of this cleaned up and we'll be right back with our first impressions. Let's get into glass one. Wow. That's just a bunch of sweetness on the nose.
It smells like apple juice. Apple juice and alcohol.
Very simple sweetness. Just a lot of sweet, appley alcohol.
Yeah.
You nailed it. Let's get into the palate.
All right. Whoa. It tastes super earthy. Not sweet like I thought it was gonna be sweet.
Yeah, there's a general sweetness there underlying the alcohol, but it's more alcohol forward, and then I'm just getting that sweetness behind the alcohol.
Oh, I'm getting earthiness immediately.
Really? It's getting a little, yeah, maybe that, I see where you're getting the earthiness from. There's something there. I think to me it's like kind of a graininess, like a grain flavor.
Maybe.
But yeah, this is an interesting pour to be in our blind sample pool.
Yeah, I get earthiness and then alcohol burn. That's what I get.
One more sip for me.
Okay.
Oh man, it got really thin on that second sip. Like really, really thin. The alcohol, general sweetness. There's not a lot of complexity. It's pretty easy sipping, I would say.
It kind of burns a little bit though.
Yeah, I mean,
a little burn.
Not a lot though. I think it's just, it's coming across like it's a really low proof point. So it's just really simple, kind of generally sweet. Let's get into glass two. That's a little bit more rich. Just a little bit.
It smells very similar, but slightly richer. Yeah. Like a little more heavy, maybe syrupy.
Yeah.
In smell.
Yeah.
But
Took
very
the words
similar.
right out of my mouth.
Very similar.
Let's get into the palate.
Okay. It tastes kind of similar as well, but a little less earthy and a little less astringent. It's a little more balanced.
It's less sweet too, though. Like glass one is more sweet, but there's that alcohol note there. Glass two, not quite as sweet, still on the sweet side, but not. It's more tempered sweetness, but it is more balanced.
I get less sweet flavor in glass one than you do. Yeah.
Oh, the nose on two is opening up now that I've taken a sip. Yeah, more like a syrupy sweetness on the nose. Very interesting matchup.
I feel like this has the same like undercurrent flavors as glass one, just a little more balanced with it. Whereas glass one for me, immediately I tasted earthy and alcohol, and this one, it's like earthy and alcohol-y combined, like a little more circular.
Yeah, these are two very interesting pours.
Yeah.
I'm going to need to take some time with these.
Yeah.
We're going to do that now. We're going to take a little time, go back and forth, start with glass two, go back to glass one, clear our palates out in between. We'll be right back with our full thoughts after this. After spending some time with these two glasses, where are you at? Let's start with glass one.
So glass one gets a thumbs up on the nose. I liked the way it smelled. Yeah, it smelled good, and as I smelled it more, it opened up more.
Okay.
It gets just okay on flavor though. I felt like the flavors were very extreme. Like it wasn't very balanced. I didn't love that. I usually love a good earthy whiskey, but I felt like this was very extreme earthy, then very alcoholic to me. And it didn't change as I drank more of it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So it gets just okay on flavor, but it gets a thumbs up on overall experience. The nose helped that a lot. I thought it smelled really good.
Yeah.
So that's probably maybe a little generous on the experience, but it smelled nice, so that helps. What about you?
For me, it gets a just okay on the nose. I said it was bright, fruity sweetness, but it was just too faint for me. And then on the flavors, again, just okay. I said it had a general bourbon sweetness, albeit a little weak and generic. Like, it just kind of tasted like bourbon taste.
I felt it was very extreme earth, very extreme alcohol.
And I didn't get that at all. I just got straight up bourbon sweetness.
I didn't get that at all.
But it wasn't like when I say like a straight up bourbon sweetness, and in a complimentary way, I mean it that like the flavors are rich, and this was not that. It just kind of fell a little short for me on the palate, at least tonight, whatever it is. And then on the experience, just okay. Like I just said, I wrote flat and a little watery. Like it kind of tasted like a diet version of a generic bourbon to me.
Yeah, I can see that.
And there was nothing off-putting necessarily, but it was just kind of on the weaker side. Let's get into glass 2. Where you at?
Glass 2 gets a thumbs up on nose for me. It smelled good. I liked both of the smells actually a lot. It also gets a thumbs up on flavor because I felt like for me, it still had that earthiness and that ethanol, but it was, like I said earlier, it was more well-rounded. It wasn't sharp on either end. And that stayed every time I sipped it. That kind of stayed. Sometimes that can change, but that stayed. Yeah. And I liked that, so that gets a thumbs up. And then overall experience gets a thumbs up as well. Okay.
For me, it got a just okay on the nose. I wrote also bright and fruity with good sweetness, but it was too faint. It is a smidgy bit, to use your term, a smidgy bit. It's a smidgy bit darker on the nose.
A little bit,
like a little bit more. There's a little bit more of a syrupy undertone there, but it's very faint.
And it is. Both of the smells were faint, but they were pleasant.
Yeah. So just okay on the nose for me. On the flavors, I did give glass 2 a thumbs up on the flavors. I said what's flavor, and I also said what flavor that is there is good and enjoyable. I just wanted more of it, which brings me to the experience when it got a just okay. Because I wanted more from the glass. Actually, my notes say it's the kiddie coaster. It's too tame. Like I like a bourbon or a whiskey that comes in nice and sweet on the front of the palate and then swells up with some spice on the mid palate and then a finish that drags out for a while. Yeah. And glass 2 had that profile. Like it ramps up and then it kind of lingers and tapers off.
But not very much.
But yeah, I like that in like a extreme. Like a 7 to 10 range. Yeah. And this is more like a 3 or 5 range.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's a kiddie coaster.
Yeah.
So
I can agree with that.
I had a preference towards glass 2. Which did you have a preference
I had a preference towards glass 2 as well. Okay. That being said, neither one of them blew my socks off.
Yeah. I put preliminary marks for our consumer rating, whether we buy it again or not. I said that I could take or leave either one of these. I kind of gave them a just okay. We'll see if that changes.
Well, let's see what they are.
Yeah, we got to find out what they are. So let's do our reveal. We're going to find out price first and react to that so that you can get our honest opinions on what we think about what each of these pours cost based on our blind tasting. Then we'll find out what we're drinking. Okay. So glass 1 is number 28 and glass 2 is number 29.
All right. I like it when they're in numerical order.
Yeah.
28.
So 28 is price.
Okay. $25.
Okay. I feel like there's a lot of things at $25 that I like. So I'm not blown away by this, but it's not bad either. Yeah. There's nothing off-putting in either one of these glasses necessarily. Glass 2, number 29.
$30.
Okay.
I don't know much, but when I know that what price these are, I can see how they drink kind of like that.
Yeah. I would be happy with both of them more around the $15 to $20 mark because they're just kind of a little bit simplistic for my personal taste. I would want a little bit more oomph. But they're both easy sippers. If you're someone that wants an easy sipper and likes generally sweet products, I think either one of these will fit what you're looking for, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
And that being said, real quick, we have had whiskeys in this price point that we like better.
Again, nothing bad about them, just I wish there were more. So glass 1, number 28.
Bulleit Bourbon.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. What's 29? What's glass 2?
Elijah Craig Bourbon.
Are you serious?
I am serious.
Wow.
Yeah?
This makes sense. Kind of,
How does
but
it make
also not
sense?
really. So,
Well, I'm a Bulleit Rye person,
you like Bulleit Rye.
but I don't know much about the bourbon. I've had it before, but I'm not like
Right.
a regular drinker of it.
Right. So the reason this matchup is in here, let's start there. The
Okay.
reason this matchup is in our blind pool is because these are both comparable price points, comparable proof points,
Yep.
25, 30 bucks, you know, low to mid 90s proof, 90 to 94. So you're kind of in that same wheelhouse.
Yeah.
You know, man, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my head screwed on straight here. So Bulleit Bourbon is the best selling bourbon, at least according to some metrics.
Okay.
It is a very high selling product that a lot of people go out and
Interesting.
buy.
Okay.
It might be the bottle. It is a pretty bottle.
Yeah.
You know, that Bulleit has really good marketing behind it.
Mhm.
Elijah Craig, also another great intro bottle. Like I said, the flavors in Elijah Craig were great. I just wanted more on the
More.
nose. I wanted more, and that's a personal preference thing. Like I like more proof. I like more oomph. And that's where glass 2 let me down. On
Yeah.
flavor, it was great. But glass 1 let me down a little bit in a few other ways. It was
Yeah.
a little bit more simplistic and just kind of generally sweet.
Yeah.
So this was a fascinating matchup
Yeah.
to run completely blind without knowing what we were tasting, because I would not have guessed that's what was in either of these two glasses. This is stunning. This is stunning.
You have no words.
So for our retail and consumer metrics, price and availability, that's the retail side of the equation.
Yep.
And whether we buy it again, that's the consumer side of the equation. Let's start with Bulleit. Where are
Okay.
you at? How do you feel about the price and availability?
Price and availability is awesome. I give it 2 thumbs up.
Okay.
However, would I buy it again? It gets just okay.
Yeah.
Because literally 2 hours ago, we were filming another video where there were bourbons that were at a cheaper price point that I liked more.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get these, especially if I can get the other two.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, Bulleit gets a thumbs up on the retail score. The price and the availability is plentiful,
Yeah.
bountiful even.
Yeah.
And the price is good.
Yeah.
But would I buy it again or not? It's just okay for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a general sweetness, but it's overly simplistic and a little flat for me. Not my jam.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just okay, but you know, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Let's get into glass 2. Elijah Craig small batch.
Price and availability, again, 2 thumbs up on that. Great price, great availability. Also, just okay on consumer score, because I wouldn't necessarily buy it again based on the blind we just did last week.
Yeah. For me, it's a 2 thumbs up on the retail side of the equation as well. I mean, the price and availability, 30 bucks, it's everywhere. Hard to beat that. Consumer score, I gave it a just okay as well. I almost went thumbs up because I have a little bit of a soft spot for Elijah Craig small batch, and it's a really good, easy sipping product. It's a well-crafted product. I really like the flavor on
Like
it.
you said, it has all the typical flavors,
Yeah.
just tamped down a whole lot.
Yeah.
So if you're new to bourbon
Yeah.
and you want those typical flavors, but you don't want the spice or the punch, like you want it easy, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got those kind of darker flavors in there because it's a little bit of an older product, bottle report. So good pour, but I personally want more, and that's where my just okay is coming from.
Yeah.
But there was a time in my life where this was a thumbs up, if not a 2 thumbs up on consumer score.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you, wherever you're at in your journey, things can change, your palate can
Change
change,
over
your
time.
preferences can change.
Yep.
So allow yourself the latitude to love something at one point in your life, but then as you go on, you know,
Yeah.
things might change.
We all change and grow.
We do.
In different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that said, let's get into our real world scores.
We get our real world scores by adding up the thumbs you've seen on the screen.
It's a 10-point scale, but it's not your typical 10-point scale.
Correct.
It's more like a bell curve where most things fall in that 4 to 6 point range. And then if it's above or below that, it's more or less exceptional, respectively.
Yep.
The reason we do that we don't do it because of what's in the glass. We do it because we've done hundreds of blind tastings and we've found that things don't really stand out as being anything special most of the time. Even some of the things that are hyped up and allocated and hard to get your hands on. So for us, if it can stand out in a blind, that's a worthy product to get a high score. If it can't stand out in a blind, it's going to be in that middle of the pack, 4 to 6 point range. With that said, let's start with Bulleit. Where are you at on Bulleit bourbon?
Total score for Bulleit is a 5. It's pretty
firmly in the middle of the pack.
Firmly in the middle. Good. Not great, but good.
Yeah.
Solid.
On your score sheet, helped out primarily by the price and the availability.
The price and the availability helped it out. Yeah.
Which is fair because that matters to us. For me, Bulleit got a 3 on real world score. And I just, again, the flavors, the experience, the whole thing, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. There was nothing offensive. There was nothing off-putting. It's a go-to cocktail bourbon. It's kind of a really good old-fashioned bourbon. So it's hard to beat it for that.
Yeah.
But overall, it just gets a thumbs up for retail score again. And that's mainly coming from, it gets a 3. And that's mainly coming from the 1 point that it got from the retail score because of the price and availability. It kind of scored what it scored for both of us because of that.
Yep.
Let's get into Elijah Craig's small batch. Where are you at on real world score there?
So not too far off, but a little better at a 5.5.
Okay. It's pretty high.
Yeah, I mean,
mainly because of the price and
the
availability.
The price and availability helped it, but it also got, thumbs up across the board on the nose, flavor, and experience, so that helped as well.
Yeah. Again, Elijah Craig is very enjoyable. For me, it got a 4.5, just a little bit below that 5, that true middle, and that's accurate for me because the flavors are really enjoyable. However, again, the experience is very tame for me. Yeah. So that makes sense that it fell. Like the scoring for me for both of these pours lines up with what I think about them non-blind. And every time we do one of these head-to-heads, I think, does this line up with my experience if we're not tasting these blind? And it absolutely does. I think these are very accurate scores. I think our rubric holds.
Yeah.
Not that that matters at all, but it was a fun comparison.
Yeah, it
was.
I
was actually kind of stumped with this one for a little bit because they're not as far apart as you would think.
No, I thought these were the same thing. One just had water and it opened it up.
On the nose. On the nose, they were very similar.
Well, and on the flavor too.
Oh, really?
Because I felt like the Elijah Craig had similar earthiness and had similar alcoholness, but it was more well-rounded.
Yeah.
So I thought that would maybe had water in it, and then this one was the one that didn't have water in it.
Gotcha. So we've got some curveballs in our blind pool.
Yeah.
Things that have air versus no air. It's been in the bottle open longer.
Yeah.
We've got things with water and no water. So we got a lot of stuff in here. If you like these episodes, they come out every Thursday, these blind head-to-heads. And you can subscribe if you like them. We're going to do a little pitch mid-episode right now.
Yeah.
Off kilter for us.
Do it.
But let's talk about who these are for.
Okay.
Given the price point, I think if you're new to bourbon, you owe it to yourself to try both of these.
Yeah.
The price point's so low, the availability is so high. If you buy both of them, you can compare them just like we did. Find out which one you prefer more. Neat, if you like sipping neat.
Yep.
Either one of these are going to work just fine in a cocktail. Neither one are going to be off-putting in a cocktail.
Correct.
There's not enough difference between the two to separate them. So if you want to just buy one at first, maybe start with the Bulleit because it's cheaper. And it's kind of like a good cocktail whiskey.
Yeah.
So maybe start there, and if you find yourself kind of enjoying it, maybe Elijah Craig small batch is your next step. We've put this in some of our lists as a great beginner bourbon, and that holds true.
Yeah.
I mean, these are both good, solid intro pours.
Absolutely.
And if you think this is a good, solid bourbon channel, whiskey channel on YouTube.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Then you can check the video description below for our Patreon. And we do all kinds of fun stuff over there. We've got a tier with the blind tasting kits. We have bonus content. We do 2 episodes a week here on the YouTube channel. But then over on the Patreon, we do 2 other episodes that are way more laid back. We're in our PJs
at the end of the night.
That's not nearly as
whiskey and talking.
Yeah, that's not nearly as salacious as it sounds. They're not nearly as highly produced. It's just way more for fun.
A little more low-key hangout style.
Yeah. So those are over there, and we've got a ton of other content in other tiers. Discord server, that's where our community element for the channel is.
Yeah.
You can check that out in the video description below. You can also see the date and time of our upcoming live stream, which I think this episode should come out near the end of November. So that means that the next live stream will be our December live stream.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing for that yet, but we always try to put together.
But it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
It's like a happy hour.
We'll probably do some kind of blind tasting because that's what we're all about.
Yeah.
And we'll have like a happy hour hang. So check down there for that information.
And if you liked today's video, don't forget to subscribe. We know a lot of you aren't subscribed, so we see
60% of you.
We see metrics, so you know, big brother. But yeah, also hit that notification bell to be notified whenever we post a video. That way you don't have to do any work. You just get pinged whenever we post a video. You watch it, you're done.
Yeah, let us ping you.
The end. Oh, what he said.
Till next week, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.